I am 10 minutes from downtown, but I feel like I'm in this little small town.
Sometimes it's less the actual home and just like the neighborhood. Or I love having conversations with people that's really like, they're like, well, I want a 3-2 and I want to make sure. And I'm like, great, we'll find that.
Yeah.
But tell me about you.
For me, it goes back to why I moved here. Like I said, it's an awesome place to raise kids because our kids, I mean, they're growing up hiking mountains.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity I would have loved to have as a kid.
Get more into the teeth and the meat of Colorado Springs. It's not
Yeah.
just a destination for like, everybody, the outdoor recreation, all of that stuff. But it's an actual city with people living in it.
You're super excited at the beginning of like, oh, I'm going to buy a house or, we're going to sell and then we're going to go buy like the house that we've wanted for a while. You're super excited at the beginning. And then once you start, you go, oh crap, like there's a lot to be done here.
But there's just so many different aspects of real estate that you can get into. And I feel like just as you continue to broaden that knowledge, you can take all that knowledge back to the heart of it, which is helping buyers and sellers with their personal needs. But all that knowledge just makes it a more successful experience for them. was a year of huge growth, not just for Colorado Springs, but also for our YouTube channel. Thousands of new subscribers. I mean, just tons of clients reaching out to us and new faces on our team as well.
That's right.
So today, we're going to take some time and we're going to introduce you to some new people on the team. You're going to learn a little bit more about all of us that have been on the Berisford team for a while. And we're going to talk about Colorado Springs and what makes it special to each of us individually, what part of town we really like, some of those hidden gems that everybody wants to know about.
So let's get this kicked off right, getting to know the man, the myth, the legend, the team leader himself, Chris Berisford.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show. So the way this is
Thank
going to work is I'm just so that Chris is not having this awkward conversation. We're going to have this so you can get to know Chris, but also then we're going to be you're going to see all the faces. You're going to see some new faces, some old gray faces that you might not recognize in January, by the way. I don't know what that means. Okay. So starting off, Chris, we just need to know, tell me where you're from, how you grew up, what was that like?
Yeah.
Just a little backstory.
The background. So the quick backstory. So for me, from Central Ohio, grew up in rural Ohio. Not a lot going on there. It's cow country, if you will. Small high school. Just honestly, just played in the woods a lot and was into sports as a kid.
What sports?
So I wrestled and that was kind of it. I was a runner, which I absolutely hate running now with a passion. It's terrible. But I was pretty good at it back in the day. So yeah, distance running too. Ugh. But anyway, so played sports and I spent some time out west for a family vacation. And then my brother worked at Glacier National Park. So I thought, man, I want to go out west. Fell in love with the mountains, right? So time to go to college after I graduated high school, got an ROTC scholarship and went to Colorado State. That's what first brought me to Colorado. So so did an ROTC scholarship, went to Colorado State right up the road in Fort Collins. And as everybody on an ROTC scholarship, went into the military after that. So spent a number of years in the military, was stateside, spent some time living overseas as well in Germany. Lots of time in the sandbox, as we call it. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Good times there. So did that for a number of years and then got restationed back to Colorado and thought, man, this is kind of where I want to end up. So punched my ticket, got out of the military and stayed in Colorado Springs.
And what year did you come back?
2005.
And when you came back in 2005, it was just you and...
Just me.
Just you?
Just me and me.
Okay. And then, so family?
Yeah, so married, beautiful wife, Amy, and one kid, Axel, who is 7 years old. Met Amy in the military.
Okay.
We were both in the same unit. That's how we met each other. So that's kind of my background. And then honestly got tired. I worked for the government a little bit as a private contractor. Got a little tired of the government work and thought, man, I'm going to do something totally different and got into real estate.
Awesome.
And here we are, yeah. So
sports were wrestled, ran, and then adult life hobbies. You're a mountain man.
I am a mountain man. I have done quite a bit of climbing. Been blessed to climb all over the world, 5 to 7 highest summits. Got 2 more to go.
Which are
they
the
get
two that-
expensive now. I have not done Everest or Vinson.
Okay.
In Antarctica, so they're getting pricey now. So I gotta sell more houses, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, so anything outdoors. That's my gig, man. Love to hunt. Love to climb. Don't climb as much as I used to, but still love to get up in the mountains.
Rock climb? Or just climb
Used
mountains?
to track climb a lot,
Okay.
but I haven't done much of that for years. Kind of got more into the mountaineering stuff, and honestly sold all the trad stuff and said I just like high altitude stuff. So yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so came to Colorado Springs. You've been here for a hot minute. You've seen some change.
Some changes
in this city.
Yeah.
But there's got to be like some constant, some like thing that is like to you is kind of this hidden gem that people outside of Colorado Springs that are maybe looking to move here just don't know about.
Yeah.
What is that to you?
Man, for me, and people that know me well know it is my jam now. And let me preface this by saying I used to live over by Garden of the Gods when I first moved to town. Then I lived out in Falcon, out on the plains. And I have fallen in love with the Black Forest area. So Northeast Colorado Springs, it's just pine tree forest everywhere, larger acreage lots, a lot of recreation stuff. Everybody thinks this is the hidden gem of Black Forest to me. Everybody thinks, oh, I got to get up in the foothills, got to get to the mountains to do any Colorado recreation. In Black Forest, there's a ton of running trails. There's regional parks, smaller parks as well. You get in Black Forest in some areas, you can even hunt out there. I've elk hunted in Black Forest. So I know, right?
What?
Private land only. But yeah, so there's Black
cow.
Forest is just outside of Colorado Springs. I just love the fact you get this elbow room, you get this big, I don't know, you just feel like you have some space and you're outside the hustle and bustle of it. So for me, Black Forest is it's the cat's meow of Colorado Springs, man.
That's super interesting. And so I'm going to dig at that just a little bit. Because like my biggest objection out there would be like, you're pretty far from the city.
Okay. Yeah.
Like from downtown, but which like, I like the restaurants and stuff like that. But like, so out there, what would be like maybe a local spot that if somebody's going to move out to Black Forest that they got to know about?
Oh man. So there's not a lot of options, right?
There's not a lot of options, but there's some good ones.
But if you are in the Black Forest area, I think because you mentioned dining, so I'm going to hit on that.
Yeah.
People kind of think, oh, I got to drive forever. I got to drive back to Colorado Springs. There's the Mountain View Cafe, there's a little kind of town center, if you will, of Black Forest. Mountain View Cafe, great breakfast. And then there's the Black Forest Bistro, which is a legit bistro. We all know what bistro means. It means it's small portions, you pay a lot, but it's really good food. So those two places are right in the heart of Black Forest. So you don't have to drive, 25 minutes to go get a good meal. You're definitely closer than that.
So you've been doing real estate for a hot minute. What is it that you like about real estate? Because you went from Army doing something totally different to real estate. And why have you stayed in real estate? What's like, what are you passionate about in real estate?
This is what I love about it. And it's because you said stay in it. This is why I've stayed in it for so long. I mean, almost 15 years now, is that there's so many different things you can do. When you start out, most people start out like they're helping buyers buy houses. That's what we all start out doing. And I still do that to this day. But then you get into investing. I've owned a lot of investment properties, multiple states, and now I've got into some land development and things like that. So there's just so many different aspects of real estate that you can get into. And I feel like just as you continue to broaden that knowledge, you can take all that knowledge back to the heart of it, which is helping buyers and sellers with their personal needs. But all that knowledge just makes it a more successful experience for them. So just the breadth of all the stuff that you can do in one industry, I don't think you can ever get tired of it. All right, Kyle, Mr. Kyle Pettitz, you've been on the team for a minute now as well. You've helped a lot of people move to Colorado Springs, helped some people leave Colorado Springs too, I guess. But like you said with me, just quick bio, background, where are you from? How'd you grow up? Tell us about Kyle as a little kid.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm one of 4 kids. I'm number 2, so you'll learn a lot about me by just knowing that I'm the second child. I've always been the outspoken one in my family, and that probably shocker rubs off in the videos and on the team. But yeah, I'm one of 4. Mom and dad, great parents. Love them both, and they were both in the Air Force. So, so we moved around a lot until we actually moved to St. Louis. We got stationed in St. Louis when I was in like 5th grade, and we've been there. Actually, my parents are still there. So, if you ask me where I'm from, my family is in St. Louis.
Okay,
we're a lot of our extended family is in the Midwest. I went to college out at BYU, Brigham Young University, where I was a cheerleader. which was awesome.
Do tell.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It was super fun.
Yeah.
And I also did ROTC there.
Okay.
So for the Air Force. And I was a broadcast journalism major. So it was kind of cool. I was like, BYU has BYU TV, which is an international broadcast channel.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like doing sports reporting and stuff like that. Yeah. And like being broadcast like literally all over the world,
That's
which
awesome,
was super crazy. Because I was raised Mormon, I went on a mission for 2 years. So when I was 19, I went to Portugal for 2 years. And then, came back, graduated college, joined the Air Force.
Okay.
And I was in Air Force Special Operations. I flew AC-130 gunships, which is where I met my wife, Lauren.
Okay.
So also met, we went to war together. Yeah. We were in the same squadron, been together for a lot of years. And we actually just got married this past June of 2024.
Yep.
And then bought a house. And so it's just me and her right now and our 2 dogs. Maybe kids in the future, TBD, subscribe so you can see more.
Who knows?
But yeah, and then transitioned out of the military and moved up to Colorado Springs a couple years ago. She had already PCS'd up here. She was flying at the Air Force Academy.
And you guys came from where before this?
We were in New Mexico.
Okay, New Mexico, yeah.
Yep. And she came up here, was flying. She's a pilot. Mm-hmm. She was flying at the Air Force Academy. And then I went on my last deployment in 2021. And then when I got back, I was like, all right, I'm done with this, and moved up here. Didn't know much about Colorado Springs. I thought that I would go back to Utah. So I bring that up just because if home is where the heart is, Utah is where I discovered the Mountain West.
Okay, fair.
And it's where I fell in love with the Mountain West.
The mountains,
I love the Mountain West, just the Rockies.
Isn't it? It's so interesting how people have that like unique experience. Like for me, like I said, it was going to Montana to Glacier. For you, going to Utah.
Oh,
it's like you see the mountains, you just can't go back.
I mean, this is actually kind of anecdotal. When I went to flight school, my flight school was in Pensacola, Florida. And it was, when I moved there, it was kind of like when a girl breaks up with you and all you can talk about is that girl that broke up with you. That was me.
Everybody got tired of hearing about the mountains.
I swear every week it was like, yeah, but in Utah, we would do this. Oh my God. You guys, in Utah, it was so annoying. Like, I hated that version of myself.
Right, yeah.
But I missed Utah so bad. Every leave that I had, I went back out west. Anyway, so when I moved up here, when I knew I was getting out of the Air Force, I was like, well, I'm gonna give this real estate thing a try. I owned homes before. I knew about, real estate investing. I'd kind of been involved in it loosely. And I was like, well, Colorado Springs will be a nice stop, right?
Okay.
But I'm going back to Utah.
That was the plan. Okay, yeah.
And then I got here and I lost count of how many days I'd just be driving and being like, oh my God, I love this place so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so beautiful with Pikes Peak, these sunsets where it's just this cotton candy sunset, purple mountain majesty. Every morning that Pikes Peak is purple, you're just like singing the song and
driving through town.
And I'm like, this place is unbelievable. It's so pretty. So I have no plans of leaving. I love it here. I really, really love it here. My favorite comments on the YouTube or on my TikTok are where I'm like, I can't figure out why this house won't sell. And someone's like, it's because it's in Colorado Springs. And I'm like, I love it here.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
I think that's awesome. And I mean, I think that most people, right, that move here, it's hard to find somebody in Colorado Springs that moved here and said, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here.
I think what's happening though is that people that haven't been here they came here once 15 years ago.
Okay.
And there wasn't much here. Right. But it's grown so much and there's lots of little great spots, there's more restaurants, there's more entertainment. It's a thriving, growing city.
No, it 100%. Yeah. So good point. You've been here long enough to know some hidden gems, if you will, of the area. What would you say for you, hidden gems and then just favorite part of town?
Okay.
Where do you just jam with, man?
Yes, I love this. So one of my favorite things, this is no matter where I live, I'm obnoxious about when people come to visit. I love taking them around.
Okay.
And so one thing that we will do if you come to visit, I hate it when people say that, is we are going to Louie Louie's.
Oh, the piano bar.
The piano bar. The piano bar is new. It opened
man.
2 weeks before we got married, so just in May. Louie Louie's originally was down in Dallas, and then he moved up here and he opened it. He took a chance on this city and he opened up Louie Louie's. They're so talented. If you haven't been to a piano bar, it's like it's almost like a live jukebox.
It's awesome.
It's a live jukebox cover band bar comedy show, interactive, and they're open like Wednesday to Sunday nights. And you just go in and it's so fun. I don't go out. I don't go to bars.
Yeah.
I don't really like drinking. I like dancing, but like it's kind of weird here to me. Probably just because I'm older, to be honest. But I will stay up. I will close that place down. Consistently. I really love the piano bar. So Louie Louie's. But a secret that because you can find that's right next to Kawadi. So Louie Louie's. A secret or an insider tip that a lot of people don't know when they come here. They see the Air Force Academy, but because it's a military installation, they think just like every other military installation, you can't go. That's not true. You can go on the military academy, the United States Air Force Academy, your United States Air Force Academy.
That's right, you paid for it.
And all you have to do is show a driver's license. Don't bring any weapons because they will check your car. But you can drive on. They're going to ask you where you're going, and you just say, to the mezzanine or like to the air park. So there's like big airplanes on sticks, that you can drive around. There's a B-52, which is crazy. There's A-10s and F-16s. There's all kinds of stuff. You can't like go into the campus buildings, but you can go
cadet buildings.
There's parts that are kind of off limits, but it's very, very clear. But it's just cool to be able to go there and see a lot of that stuff. And there's people that have lived here for 10 years that didn't know that you could go.
100%.
Yeah. So, now, as far as listen, I'm kind of the opposite of Chris. I think Black Forest is awesome, but I'm very much a West Side, Best Side type of person. That being said, my favorite neighborhood is actually also a hidden neighborhood. It sounds like it's straight out of Lord of the Rings. Because I remember the first time, we actually have some friends that live over there, and I remember the first time I drove into it, I literally was like, what is this place? And it's not on the West Side.
No.
It's this like armpit of Palmer Park.
Armpit in a good way, though.
Like the nicest armpit. It's called Arendale, E-R-I-N-D-A-L-E, Arendale. And it is the most fitting name for any neighborhood probably in Colorado Springs, right? Like you drive through there and it's like tucked up into Palmer Park and the roads, like there's privacy, these huge trees and there's bears and bobcats and deer and turkeys and like it just, and all the houses are so unique and houses never go up for sale over there. Like it is beautiful, like shockingly beautiful. And almost nobody knows that it exists.
Truly a hidden,
it's literally hidden.
If you're driving down Academy, you're thinking this is okay, whatever. And then you turn and you're like, okay, it's whatever. And all of a sudden you're driving back this valley and it just, there it is.
In fact, you drive past a bunch of like apartments. And you're like, okay. And then suddenly it's like, welcome to Arendelle.
There's a sign,
And like Legolas pops out and he like starts shooting bows and arrows and he starts guiding you through. It's incredible. Arendale's amazing.
That's a good one, man. Most people that have lived here 10 or 15 years don't know about that unless they live in the community.
I did not know about it until I went to a friend's house. And then we did a video tour there because I was like, when we do Palmer Park, that video tour, so go watch it. And you can see, I mean, it's spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Beautiful homes.
So talking about homes and areas, what is it that really just drives you? I will say Kyle has a passion for helping people get into Colorado Springs, find a better part of Colorado Springs, whatever it is. Like you truly do have a passion for it. What drives that in you to help people out in this industry?
That's a really good question. I think to really answer the question, it's like to just know me is I am just a passionate person. And I also like, I just understand that life is finite. And so like, I don't want to eat crappy food. It's like, and so if somebody comes for a week, I'm like, I don't care how much money I'm going to spend. We are going to eat good food. We're going to drink good drinks. Like, we're not going to go to something that's mediocre. I want
to Chili's here.
I want you to know, oh my God. I want you to have the maximum experience. And so I feel the same thing with the home. Also, I've bought and sold multiple homes and I just have this passion for like kind of maximizing life as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I know that like where you live, and sometimes it's less the actual home and just like the neighborhood. Or I love having conversations with people that's really like, they're like, well, I want a 3-2 and I want to make sure. And I'm like, great, we'll find that.
Yeah.
But tell me about you. Do you like having people over?
Yeah.
Do you like hosting? Do you really just want privacy? Do you want to like sunbathe naked on your back porch?
Yeah.
Because I can't do that in my current neighborhood. So we bought a new house and we're moving, right? Like, do you go snowboarding a lot? Why are you moving to Colorado?
Yeah.
If you're moving to Colorado because you want to go snowboarding every weekend, then you probably shouldn't live in Falcon, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's an extra
Added
hour
30
and a half.
minutes, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, and then the round trip, it's an extra hour and a half or 2 hours. So I really care about maximizing the dollars that I put out, the time that I'm using, my resources, my energy. And sometimes overbearingly, I want people to be able to just maximize theirs as well. So like, I'm really passionate about that. And just to give a super quick example, I remember having a conversation with one of my favorite clients ever. And she was really stressed. She was up here. Her husband was back in Arkansas and like getting ready to sell their house. And she was like responsible for finding them the place.
The house, yeah.
And we were going all over the place. And it started to feel like panic. Like, and I remember she had told me everything about like what they really wanted. And she found this bougie house, this really nice house. But it was like way out in Falcon, like Falcon Peyton area.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, I was like, person, that house is beautiful. It's a great value. In fact, it's in great shape. It's a great price.
Yeah.
I was like, and you will be relieved for 4 to 6 months.
Like you've made this decision, but
You'll be relieved. But then you will be like, dang it. I wish that we lived on the other side of town.
yeah.
I wish that we lived closer to the mountains. Because you told me you want to go hiking more. You want to go biking. You want to be in the mountains, near the mountains. You know, you want to get out to Colorado, which everything great in Colorado is west.
West, yeah.
And I'm really passionate about that. Like, hey, I want you to maximize your life and your time here. And I really want people to enjoy Colorado Springs because I love it.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Like that's the passion that I see come out with every client that you work with. And truly, like, you're an amazing person to have on the team. Kyle's clients have nothing but the absolute best to say about you. I haven't heard a bad thing yet. Maybe it'll come one day, but not yet. So
I pay them a lot of money to say
a lot
good
of dollars
things.
are spent.
Yeah. I just like keep feeding them stuff like, hey, say more good stuff.
No, it's awesome, man. Your passion, you've gained a ton of experience. I mean, you're selling land now, you're selling investment properties. Like, you're figuring it out, man.
Well, thank you. It's
love
been
it.
awesome being on the team, and looking forward to 2025. We have big goals in 2025, and I'm super excited about the new people coming onto the team because even though they're new,
100%.
they've got already, like in the first couple team meetings that they were in, just great input, great experience, great perspective.
Yeah.
So the team is going to get stronger and it's going to grow. It's going to be awesome.
100%, man. All right, now the next person we're going to talk to, I'm super excited to introduce a new person to the Berisford Group, Kimberly Witten. Thank you for joining us today. So we're going to go through a lot of the same questions that Kyle and I kind of talked about as well. I might even gain a little bit of information from this as well, because like I said, you're pretty new to the team. Yep. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up, just some basic 2 minutes about you as a kid.
All right, I'm going to try to make this, I'm going to condense it down to 2 minutes.
We can go 5 if we have to.
So I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, born and raised. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. We're a blended family.
Okay.
Mom's kids, dad's kids, their kids, that type of situation. I was homeschooled from 1st through 12th grade all the way through.
The whole way?
Yeah, no trauma at all from that. Let's see. As an older teenager, I had some cool opportunities. I got to do some volunteer work in different countries like Mexico, Peru,
awesome.
New Zealand, stuff like that.
Okay.
A little interesting, weird little tidbit is that I married my first kiss. Josiah was my first boyfriend. Fell in love.
I did not know this, people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how old were you guys when you first met?
So I was 20.
Okay.
And Josiah was 19. Robbed the cradle a little bit.
Yeah, just a year. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. Yeah. So you guys met in San Antonio then, or?
So we met because the organization that we were involved with.
Yeah. We will not ask any questions about this.
Okay. The organization that we'd both done some volunteer work through had a meetup of sorts.
Okay.
And so we both met randomly in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Never been back.
Wow,
but
that's that is a random
and
meetup place. Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite was really popular at the time. And so we started calling each other buddy. Oh, this is too much info.
We are all dating ourselves by this right here.
Yes. And, anyway, we connected on Napoleon Dynamite and
that's awesome.
Yeah, became friends.
And then so back to San Antonio. Now, so he moved down to San Antonio then, or?
Yep. So when we were dating, he moved down to San Antonio. And funny enough, we thought that we'd live in San Antonio after we got married for 6 months. And then we'd move to Colorado Springs. Took us a little longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the goal was always to get here.
Okay. So you guys made it finally from San Antonio up to Colorado Springs. So what brought you to Colorado? Like, why Colorado Springs from San Antonio?
I mean, there's the big thing that everyone knows. The heat is crazy in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, last summer it was 120 degrees. Like,
That's
it's wild.
That's ridiculous what that is.
Yeah. And so, okay, how factual do we need to be? Because the heat index is 120. I think it was actually 115. I don't know if that matters.
But it was really hot nonetheless.
Yes. So it was super hot. So that was, an easy decision in that front. But what really brought us to Colorado Springs, it's where we wanted to raise our kids.
Okay.
I think that Colorado Springs, it has a culture about it. Everyone's active. I think it's an amazing place to raise kids. We look out our window and Pikes Peak is right there.
It's tough to beat that.
Yeah, and it's like it's adventure.
Yeah.
And then I think also it's a wonderful place to grow old. The number of 65 plus, which the older I'm getting, the younger that feels.
It's rapidly approaching.
Exactly. People that I see, they're so active.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hiking the incline. They're doing hikes all the time. They're climbing 14ers.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of
motivational, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of person I want to be. So
that's awesome.
Did
you consider other places or other mountain places or other places along the Front Range before settling on Colorado Springs?
We are very focused people. So there was nothing
This is
really
true, I can tell you that.
There was nothing. Once we set on Colorado Springs, there was really no other place to go. And also all of my husband's family's from here. So we've been traveling to Colorado Springs for 18 years.
Okay. So you knew the city pretty well before you moved up here. Okay. Okay, so that's a good segue into the city pretty well. You've been here a minute now. What's your favorite neighborhood area? Maybe kind of like a hidden gem of Colorado Springs.
Okay, so I actually really like this question. For me, it's not so much a singular neighborhood, but more of an area. I really love Manitou Springs.
Okay.
So a not so hidden gem in Manitou Springs is the incline.
100%.
And we hike the incline every week, and it's been really cool because my two older teenagers, they're not so motivated to hike it. They'd rather sleep, if I'm being honest. But my 9-year-old, she will not let me leave the house if she knows I'm going to the incline without coming with me. So
that's awesome.
We got her own hiking backpack, it's really cute. So the incline for me is my not so hidden gem, but my hidden gem after the incline, the best treat is to go to Rocky Mountain Beignets. As soon as you're done, it's right on Manitou Avenue.
Okay.
They make the best beignets. Okay, so the owners of Rocky Mountain Beignet are actually from New Orleans. And I've had beignets from New Orleans.
Authentic, right?
Very authentic.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to do with New Orleans is humid and Colorado Springs is not. I don't know what their magic sauce is, but these are truly better than New Orleans beignets in my not so humble
I have never been there, and I'm going to have to go check it out now.
It's really good.
And it's right on Manitou Ave.
Right on Manitou Avenue, yeah.
Okay, that's great, man. And Manitou Springs, overall, it is a really cool place. It gets busy though. Summertime, tourists.
It does get really busy, but if you know where to park,
then
I think you're all right. So the thing that is also one of the parts that I do like about it, I like that it's kind of a quirky town, but it's also really historic. So you have something like the Penny Arcade, which my kids love the Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
You have places like Rocky Mountain Beignet. You have houses in all price points. You've got the incline. You have different places that you can go and hike. So you kind of have everything you need in one little spot.
Tucked right in there.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is. I think most people that go to Manitou Springs, like they do just kind of fall in love with it. It's this quaint little tucked in there, mountainous town kind of. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Have you been to the Loop, the Mexican restaurant?
I haven't, but that's a tough one because I am sold on Tex-Mex. So I am very, very harsh and critical.
You're particular? So it's right at the roundabout where Ruxton Avenue goes up. It's whatever that corner is, but it's right on the corner.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's best margaritas in town, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I'll try it. Go check it out.
I'll take one for the team.
It's pretty good, yeah. No, Manitou's great. You live on the west side of town.
Yeah, we live in Old Colorado City.
Yeah, so just
love it.
West side, best side. You will hear that a lot as you learn about Colorado Springs. West side, best side. I said I used to live on the west side, so I can understand that too. But okay, so awesome Manitou Springs, beignets, incline. What is it that made you think, okay, I love Colorado Springs, I'm moving there, and I'm going to get into real estate? What's that passion that kind of drives you to help people out like you have, buying, selling, moving to or moving within Colorado Springs? Like, what makes you do that every day?
Mm-hmm. I think for me, it goes back to why I moved here. I think Colorado Springs is amazing, and the areas right surrounding Colorado Springs, I think that it's amazing because, like I said, it's an awesome place to raise kids because our kids, I mean, they're growing up hiking mountains. Yeah. That's an opportunity I would have loved to have as a kid. But also it's great for myself and my husband because it's a place that we can continue to grow old, not just I don't know quite how to, I honestly don't know how to say this. Let me rephrase that. Great place to raise kids. But it's also an amazing place to not just grow old, but to continue to be active. Yeah. And if I can share that with other people, what more could you want in life other than an amazing place to raise your children and an amazing place for you to grow old yourself?
That's true. That's kind of what everybody's looking for where they're geographically going to be, right?
And we also wanted a place, okay, in Texas, no hate to Texas. Okay, I grew up there, Spurs fan, go Dallas Cowboys, no matter how many years in a row. You guys are going to be terrible. But we wanted to also live in a place where our kids were going to want to stay. And I just feel like this area, you've got skiing.
Yeah.
You've got, you can do adventure races. You have hiking, mountain climbing. There's so many, whitewater rafting. There's so many things to do that we just wanted a place where our kids would call home. And I mean, maybe they'll move away, but we're trying to make it really hard for them to want
There's
to.
a better chance they stay here than they would in Wichita or something.
Right.
So
I mean, no offense.
Yeah.
San Antonio.
Yeah. No, this was, you mentioned to me the other day, I just took a trip to Texas and I flew into San Antonio, and you were telling me before I left on that trip, like you hated the fact that you just never looked up and out.
Yeah.
You always just looked at everything right in front of you. And I really didn't, I kind of thought I knew what you meant, but I didn't really grasp it until I got there. Because when you're in Colorado Springs, like you're constantly looking up and out everything. I mean, Pikes Peak, Garden of the Gods, like just all the natural beauty. And you get to San Antonio, again, great city, but you're just kind of looking at everything right in front of you. It just doesn't have that same draw to it that Colorado Springs.
Right.
It's the mountains, man. That's what it is.
It's the mountains. I feel like there's just something, and I've never been like a huge nature buff, but there's something that happens when you get out in nature, even something as well, I was going to say as simple as Garden of the Gods. Like who says that?
That's right.
But
we're spoiled.
Exactly.
That's why.
Something like Garden of the Gods where I'm walking on a paved sidewalk. All of a sudden I'm still getting these endorphins, these different feelings of just feeling happy.
This is just
and that's
awesome.
Something that I think really only happens in nature, and it's everywhere here.
It is, yeah. And that's what Kim brings to her clients. Like you can hear like the passion when you're talking about Colorado Springs, and like not just, I want you to get here so you can buy a house and whatever. Like you want to make sure people find the right area for their family, for what they're looking for. And man, it comes out when Kim works with people, like you understand that true passion, and could not be happier to have you on the team.
Well,
We're very, very blessed.
I feel very fortunate.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so now we're going to chat with another new person on the team. Josiah Witten joined the team here just recently, so we are beyond ecstatic to have you on board. It's been great in just the first couple weeks, right? I mean, it's and I say first couple weeks on the team, but you've got, you have a background and some experience here bringing to the table. This is
definitely,
not to get too far off track, but if we, have someone come join our team, we're very adamant that there's a big value add, not just for the team, but for all of our clients as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm stoked about having you on board for. Before we get down that rabbit hole, though, I want to know just a little bit about, and I'm probably going to learn some stuff here too, honestly, about you as a kid. Where'd you grow up? What did that look like when you were little Josiah?
Yeah, so I grew up here in the Springs.
Okay.
And was actually in a large family, so one of 11. So that kind of
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
sets up your childhood
Yeah,
in a
no
big
doubt,
way.
man. Yeah.
A little bit of a different type of childhood. We were homeschooled, but I would say like a big factor in my childhood is we were all very ambitious. Like even at a young age, we were always starting our own businesses. So
awesome.
I remember up at the Bluffs, we'd go and collect golf balls behind in the Bluffs. We'd go back down, wash them, and resell them to the golfers as they'd come out.
That's the stuff I love. Man.
Snow for us was all about shovel and walk. So we'd wake up at 5:30. That was the day. You go try to make as much money as you can. So my childhood was a lot of that. At 9, we actually moved to Russia for 2 years. So that was quite a unique experience. Actually, really,
where at in Russia?
Moscow.
Okay.
So it was actually super fun for me. I loved being there. It was like quite the amazing experience to have at that age.
No doubt.
And then after that, we moved to Indiana. I think when I was 12, we moved to Indiana. And then after I graduated high school, I lived in Taiwan for like a year and have done some other overseas type things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of was where I came from and everything.
And that's awesome. Do you think that those international experiences just kind of helped broaden your horizon, kind of make you a little bit of who you are, not to sound too cheesy about it?
Yeah, I think so. I think they, subconsciously you don't realize as a kid.
Yeah.
But you're experiencing things just like other cultures and how people, a lot of poverty, you experience what people value in different type of settings. Like I remember we'd be at places where we'd go into someone's small, tiny apartment. They had spent maybe their last month's earnings on that dinner they'd make for our whole family, which obviously a huge family.
Right.
And then they would be giving us stuff off their shelves because they would not want you to leave without giving you one of their special teapots or something. And just really learning about people that have certain embedded things in their culture that you would never even think about. But it just kind of shapes the way you think about certain things and stuff. So yeah, I think definitely kind of affected.
That's awesome, man.
The way I thought about things. And
No, that's super cool, man. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of young people don't have those experiences. They don't have the opportunity to have those experiences. That's awesome, man. So traveled around, some international experience. And then what was it that brought you to Colorado Springs? Like, why Colorado Springs?
Yeah. So like I said, we'd moved away. I started dating my wife when I was 19. I think at 20, I actually moved to Texas to be nearby her.
Okay.
We eventually got married.
Yeah.
Had all 3 of our kids there. I think I was in Texas almost 18 years.
Okay.
But we always wanted to move, and Colorado Springs was always at the top of our list because we would travel here once, twice a year because I have family here. So it was a big part of our life. And we knew when the time was right, we wanted to be here. So we're really glad to be here in the Springs.
Yeah.
And this to be where we're raising our family now and, where we're going to plan on growing old. And it just feels like the perfect place for us. So that's awesome. That's kind of why we're here and what we're excited about being here.
What was it like having grown up largely in Colorado Springs and then left for a while, long time, and then coming back? Like, was Colorado Springs just like drastically different? Or, obviously it had grown a lot, but did it still have kind of the feel to it that it did when you were here as a kid?
So I would say a little bit of both, but for me, mostly the same feel. And I know it's changed a lot. Like I know as an adult, like culture has changed a lot here as far as like access to really great restaurants and different things to do.
Right,
and like their new soccer stadium and stuff like that has changed. But as a kid, I go down to where I grew up and we biked everywhere as a kid. So we came from not a lot of money. So we had one car that went to work with my dad. And so we biked at a young age all over the city. So I remember I still go down these streets that I bike down. It just feels like home still. Has changed a lot, but at the same time, it feels very much like the place. That feels very familiar. So I go around even and just very quickly, I just feel very connected to the different areas of town because it was such a part of my childhood.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that it's cool to be able to leave a city and then come back to it years later and still have that connection to it. I don't know that happens in a lot of places. I feel like Colorado Springs kind of it's got this special feel to it that I think draws people back.
Yeah, I feel like it does.
Yeah. I don't know if that same thing happens if you're in I don't know. I think I said Wichita earlier today about something. So I don't know if it has that same draw, but man, Colorado Springs, yeah, it definitely brings you back. So that's a good segue into, you obviously know Colorado Springs extremely well.
Yep.
And you know different parts of town, you know different areas. You probably know a hidden gem or two about Colorado Springs. What is something that you think would be kind of this insider tip that people might want to know about that just they're not going to find online?
Yeah. I'd say for me, it's like, it's not necessarily this quite hidden gem, but I guess the experience of this is what surprises me. So Old Colorado City.
Okay.
It's a well-known place, but what's interesting to me is like, that's where we live nearby. So it's kind of like, it's got this feel of like, I am 10 minutes from downtown, but I feel like I'm in this little small town. I feel like I've got this small town feeling because there's all these local shops, all these local restaurants, and it just feels like, I guess I don't know. It's like you have these dreams of living in a small town. You watch something like Gilmore Girl or whatever, these things, they build up this fantasy of a small town. It's just so cool to be able to have some of that experience while having the access to such an amazing city with all these different amenities. So I'm not like sacrificing something or living out in the middle of, where I have to drive 30 or 45 minutes to get to a Walmart. It's just like anything. I don't know. I just wasn't, that's something that's really been an awesome connection for me is that feeling of both those things kind of coinciding in one place.
And that's a really good point. It's something that I honestly got to admit, I'd never really looked at it that way. But as I kind of think about it, OCC 100% that way, right? Like you said, these little shops. And now my brain's kind of like, I'm thinking about other places like Monument, its own quaint little town kind of, but then you're right here by everything that Colorado Springs has to offer, So that's, like having a medium size, to me, it seems like a big city, but at least a medium sized city with everything you'd ever want to do for the most part, but then being able to be in these little hidden pockets so you feel like you're in a small town.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good point, man. OCC, more and more people really like it over there. I don't know. It's I don't know. We have a lot of people that like it over there. So anyway,
and I'd say in that city, go to the French bakery. It's incredible.
Yeah,
yeah. It's been something we go all the time. Their French onion soup to die for.
Okay, the best. Is it right on Colorado Ave?
Yeah, right on Colorado Avenue. So it's very cool.
There's a lot of places I got to go check out that I haven't been for like 3 of them today now. So I think, Colorado Springs full of hidden gems, but I kind of want to get your perspective as somebody that's been here, growing up and then also back here now. That's a cool take on it. I love that, man. So you have been a businessman for a while. Mm-hmm. Just tell us just real quick a little bit about kind of your background on that side, because I think that brings a lot of value to our clients and kind of how we do business as well.
Yeah. So, like I said, as a child, I was very ambitious, always creating, entrepreneur at a young age. So that's what I've done my entire adult life, is be an entrepreneur. I've started a few businesses and sold them, still have a business that I run now. Mm-hmm. So it's been very much integral to my career and who I am and what I've done. And, that has its own things to create, the things that you're driven for, things that you're strong in and have to overcome as having to pioneer your own way, So it's annoying at times for sure, but it's been something that I've also loved to be able to have to, have those different experiences and get over those different hurdles and stuff. Yeah. And then also I've done a lot with houses over the years. So I've bought and flipped houses. I've done rentals. I've, kind of have a range of, I've also fixed up a lot of houses. Honestly, I know the houses inside and out. I know how to remodel them, what looks good, what doesn't, what works. Like even this, a house recently, just redid it and really focused on, hey, what is going to make this thing sell? What's popular right now? What's working? So have that experience, which, I feel like really helps me a lot in real estate, where I'm able to help talk to clients and help direct them with, knowledgeable bases about if they're buying a house or selling a house, the helpful things about having in-depth knowledge of a house. Yeah. And, also just having that business experience helps me a lot in this arena.
No, 100%, man. I agree with that. And it's amazing. It always amazes me how many people there are in our industry that don't really know the product, if you will, i.e. houses, right? Like it always boggles my mind how often I see that. So I think that's a huge value you bring to clients. I think the entrepreneurial background that you have and just kind of that mindset, like to me, it just means like we're solving problems. We're not just going to give up right away. We're like, hey, there's got to be a solution here. If this is what you need to accomplish, then that's what we're going to help you do. We're not just going to say, okay, yeah, hey, have fun, or push you down some road that doesn't really make sense. We're going to figure out a way to make it happen.
I think that's definitely true because I'm very driven by problem solving.
Okay,
so if there's a problem, that's why I love real estate. Helping clients is like, problem is, I want this house. How do I get from here to there? That's what I love helping, because I feel like there is a lot of things that we're not necessarily always thinking about and solutions to get there. And that is what gets me excited, is helping people through that process, but really problem solving along the way to figure out how do we really get that goal, the end goal, and get from the starting point. And in business, that's what I've always kind of done. And it's what I actually enjoy doing, is helping in that way. And is, being that person for people is what I like to do.
I think that's great, man. I was going to say, so what kind of drives you in the real estate thing? And I think you kind of just hit the nail on the head right there. Is, hey, I like to get people from point A to point B. We're going to problem solve along the way, and we're going to get them where they need to go. Yeah,
know they have a partner in the process. That I feel invested, in it, because I don't know, it's just part of my makeup. It feels good to me to know that they've gotten what they want and been able to help them through that process. So it's like, it's not like this distant thing, just like, well, it's just this business transaction thing. It's part of something that I'm personally invested in, because I've gone through the experience a lot myself and know what it feels like to buy a house, sell a house, and all the feelings that come up in that process. So I want to be, part of that with people.
Part of that. And it's one of those things, like, I hope the honesty comes through in the video, because that's something that I love too so much, is just the honesty you have about wanting to help people, community focused, community minded, really wanting to build that community. I mean, you got to put a plug in for it at least, man. Your Instagram with trying to build some community. Tell me about that real quick.
So I love to be part of a community, not taking from a community. So in sales, sometimes it feels like, give me, I'm trying to pull this way. I kind of want to go a different direction, where I'm like wanting to give back. And so as an adult, I feel like, as kids, you're always playing games. You have this sense of excitement, things that come in the game format. And as adults, we just don't have as many opportunities to be in that game format. So I wanted to basically create a local game. It's a cash hunt, Colorado Springs cash hunt. And basically what it is through Instagram, people can follow. I'll hide cash in different places, give different clues online and different ways that they're able to find that cash. And it just gives this fun way for, I think, specifically adults, just to kind of have fun. And it's not so much about like, I found this $50. It's that I had the fun of trying to figure out where this spot was in the city. And that's also for me, is I love getting into this city, kind of exploring new spots I maybe didn't even know about while doing this, and people seeing the knowledge base people have this city is incredible. I mean, I'll hide this thing. I'm like, they're not going to find this for a few days, 10 minutes later.
They're finding it like that.
It's fine. And it's just fun to engage in that way with the community, and learning the city and having fun at the same time. It's just been really fun.
I think it's super cool, man. When you first told me about that, I was kind of like, okay, I think I see where this is going. And now I'm like, man, that's just an amazing way, like you said, just build, even if it's kind of this digital community, you may not meet everybody face to face, but eventually, people will meet each other. So I think that's awesome. I think it shows that you're truly passionate about just helping people get through the process, and also just build community, whatever that looks like. So I know for me, myself, super excited to have you on the team. I know 2025 is going to be awesome. We're going to help out a ton of people this coming year, and I'm stoked for it, man.
Yep, me too. Very excited to be on the team, and just feel so blessed to be part of, obviously, the Colorado Springs community, but then this community as a team, and just really excited to see where you guys come from and where you're going with this. So very excited to be on the team.
Sky's the limit, man. I love it.
Awesome.
Right on. All right, so the next person we're going to chat with is Sam Loving, the old man on the team. Sam has been with me the longest as far as folks that are helping us sell some real estate. Sam, how long you been on the team?
Gosh, almost 4 years now.
Started like February-ish?
Of 21. So be 4 years and a couple of months.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
It does.
But so let's just get into it and get to know Sam Loving. So just a little bit, real quick, where you from? What'd you do as a kid? How'd you end up where you are?
Originally from North Carolina. Dad was Air Force, so we were probably destined to move to the Springs at some point. It seems like a checkpoint stop along the way for almost everyone in the Air Force.
Right,
So moved all over the country, North Dakota, California, Mississippi, back to North Carolina for a bit, and then eventually to Colorado in 2005. Played a lot of sports as kids. That was my thing. Like, I just love football and baseball, and did most of my growing up here. Like I said, moved here in 2005, and folks moved out in 2017, and I was like, I'm staying here. I like it here.
Yeah, so, I'm staying in Colorado.
Yeah.
So military brought you to Colorado Springs through your dad. And then so you moved away from Colorado Springs for a little bit, but came back not too long after, right?
Yeah. So in college, moved to Grand Junction for a year and went to Colorado Mesa out there. And loved it, but it was crazy expensive, even in that small town. And so I was like, I'm coming back to the Springs and go to UCCS for a bit. So
nice.
Didn't finish my degree there, but
all good, And then you got into real estate, and here you are, man.
Here I am.
No, that's awesome, man. So you've been in the Springs for a long time. I would say you and I probably came to the Springs because I came here in 2005. So around the same amount of time. We've both been in the Springs a long time.
Yeah.
Know the city really, really well, obviously. What would you say is kind of think of like a hidden gem or just something that you just love about Colorado Springs, man?
Man, a hidden gem. It's something I love about it. I could do really easy. To me, I say this to everyone, it's a big, small town. So it's not too big. It's not, my favorite thing about the Springs is it's not Denver, right?
It's solid.
Like, and not that I hate Denver. It's growing on me. But the Springs has never been too big, right? Like everything is within maybe a 30-minute commute, depending on the day and traffic. So it's not bad, but it's not so small that you don't have everything you need. Like all the necessities are here, and even some of the extras that are fun to have. Like, we've now got a soccer team and, some new venues for concerts, and downtown is growing. So some new restaurants and all those things. So I think that's what I really love about the Springs is you've got everything you need without it being too big, too busy, too crowded.
No, that's solid. Yeah. I would echo that as well. Like you've got all the stuff, and I like how you termed it, all the stuff you need plus a little bit of the other stuff too. Like you mentioned the soccer team, there's the Ent Performing Arts Center, so there's the Pikes Peak Performing Arts Center. So there's
our new Ford Amphitheater.
Yeah, exactly, a new outdoor amphitheater. So it's got some of that stuff that a big city has, but kind of without a lot of the big city stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it is growing, man.
It is growing quite a bit.
Growing,
I mean, when we first moved here, there had to be maybe 400,000.
I feel like it's double the size now.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. At least a metro area.
Yeah.
Like if you'd have told me 20 years ago, like Monument and the Springs would touch, I'd have been like, you're crazy. And
how about in 2007 when you were in Falcon? Would you thought Falcon in the Springs would touch?
No, the way that Woodman is like infilling right now, like they're building on the north side of Woodman now. I'm like, that is wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
So you've seen a lot of growth, and like you said, really from like kind of high school days until now, like you've been here so much of all of your adult life, you've been in the Springs. So I think that's something really good that you bring to the team is just that knowledge. Something else that I think that is unique for you that I think a lot of people maybe moving to the Springs are thinking about is, here's what my family demographic is, if you will. Is it going to be a place for me? Right. So you, wife, no kiddos yet, but been married for a good bit of time.
Yeah.
For you and your wife, I'll just say Amelia, so I don't have to keep saying your wife. For you and Amelia, how does the Springs fit for kind of like that young, just 30-year-old couple? Does it have the fun stuff that you want to do? How does it fit for you guys?
I think it does now. I think it is a certain maybe kind of young couple. Like it's not New York, right?
Right.
Like, so it doesn't have like all the bars, clubs, nightlife, like that sort of like crazy vibe going on.
Yeah.
At least not to the level that New York has. Like we still have some of that kind of entertainment stuff. But also for somebody who's like geared towards the outdoors and they like being outdoors, like being able to hike on, any given day after work or whatever, we can still go downtown and go eat some great local food. And, like I said, the music events and the concerts and the shopping, like all that stuff melds well. The saying when we were a lot younger was like, keep Colorado Springs lame.
You're right.
And that's kind of what it was, honestly. It was a bunch of chain stuff. It was pretty lame. It was pretty boring. There wasn't a lot. We went to the mall for fun, like that's what we would do on the weekends is just like a gaggle of kids roaming the mall. And now like there is a lot more stuff to do. So we love it. We live maybe 10 minutes north of downtown and like any given night where we're like, let's go out, let's do something, like we're probably on the corner of Moreno and Tejon. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah. Sam's the one that you like, if I want to know something to do or someplace to eat, he's the one that I'm going to ask because I don't really know those places quite as much. Like it seems like there's a new place coming along all the time, especially downtown.
Yeah.
And I don't go downtown a whole ton myself. So that's cool. So it's a fit for you guys for sure. Yeah. I just kind of like, that's one nice thing about our team. We have just differing viewpoints and demographics as far as family size and age on the team. So I feel like we get a good perspective of who it's a fit for and who it's maybe not going to be the best fit for.
Totally.
So a little bit more just kind of about your perspective on the Springs. What area of town is just your jam? What are you like, hey, like, you know what mine is, obviously where I live.
Yeah.
Like, what is your part of town where you're like, man, like this is my jam and here's why?
Yeah. So we currently love where we live right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, the biggest thing about it, it's like so centrally located to everything.
Yep.
Like we're 5 minutes from our neighborhood groceries, from multiple neighborhood grocery stores.
Yeah.
We're 3 or 4 minutes from I-25. So, we can be on the interstate headed anywhere in 3 or 4 minutes. We're maybe 15 minutes to like OCC, maybe. So we can, hop on 24 and be in the mountains in 15, 20 minutes. Like that's what we love about that area. It's super central. Basically kind of the Fillmore and I-25 area.
Yeah.
But my favorite or maybe what I'm hoping for someday would probably be the Rock Rimmon area.
Okay.
Because what I think is really cool about that area, again, super conveniently located. Like you're a few minutes from I-25 anywhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you're like far enough removed from the city, and the topography is such that like you kind of feel like you're in the mountains a little bit in certain parts of that neighborhood, right?
Sure,
some of it's like just straight up subdivisions, but some of it's real hilly and trees and like kind of secluded and private, but 5 minutes to the interstate.
Yeah.
So
I love that area. And it's funny, like as I'm getting to know my team members more by talking to you guys about this stuff, it's interesting. Like everybody's like West Side, like but that's when you think of Colorado Springs, like that's what people think of.
Totally.
Nobody's thinking I'm going to Colorado Springs so I can live on Powers Boulevard.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I will say I've grown up in Falcon. Like I don't necessarily want to move back there anytime soon. Yeah, the commute is like, I don't want to say it's atrocious now because we'll get some comment from somebody from LA that's like,
right,
come on,
Chicago
dude.
or something, right?
Yeah. But like the views from out there, that's one thing I don't think a lot of people realize is like the West Side is awesome.
Yeah.
But like the views are nothing like it is like once you get out of town, out of the Woodman Valley and up on the hill a little bit out there, like the views of the Front Range are just stunning.
You're just looking at like unobstructed Pikes Peak views, yeah.
But
that's the nature of the beast. Like the closer you get to the mountains, like in the foothills, like the less of the mountains you see,
right?
Because you're right up in them. So, no, the West Side is definitely very desirable for a lot of people. And as you know, I used to live over off of Garden of the Gods myself, so I'm a fan of the West Side as well. There's nothing wrong with it. I guess that's why they say, West Side, best side, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's a little bit about the Springs and kind of your history here. Now let's talk about what you have this passion for helping people.
Yeah.
And it's, whether they're coming to Colorado Springs or they're within Colorado Springs and they're trying to move from that one area into the Rock Rimmon area or whatever it is, you've got this passion to really help these people out. What kind of drives you to have that desire to just make sure people find the right fit?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably like buying my first home and going through that process and just not knowing what the heck was going on sometimes at any given time. Yeah. I enjoy the process of like helping somebody attain that goal because like you're super excited at the beginning of like, oh, I'm going to buy a house or, we're going to sell and then we're going to go buy like the house that we've wanted for a while. You're super excited at the beginning. And then once you start, you go, oh crap, like there's a lot to be done here. Like, or a lot more to this than I thought there was. If you're moving from across the country, like sometimes that becomes a daunting task. And so just that process of like helping guide and walk people through like, here's how we get from A to Z. And we're going to get there and it's going to be great. Like,
it's going to be great at the end of the day.
Yeah. That process is really fun for me.
What would you say, what type of client, you can't say all of them the same. What type of client do you like to work with best? The one coming to town, the one in town?
Man.
Because you work with both. Like, you've got a pretty big, group of people here locally that So you more than anybody else on the team work with, referral business, people that people that know, like, and trust you, but then also people from out of town.
That's tough. Because I do enjoy both for different aspects. I would say at least this year or currently, it's been a lot of fun to work with people coming from out of town.
Okay,
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It's things are new to them, and like the whole area is new, and so getting to just like share knowledge of like the area and what might work really well for you based on like your likes and dislikes, all that's been pretty fun this year. So
no, I really enjoy that too, and I don't work with as many people from out of town as you guys do.
Yeah,
but man, I agree with that. Like when I get to work with out of town people heading this way, like it is fun because they don't know anything about Colorado Springs, and you get to kind of be this wealth of knowledge, and especially being here so long, you get to just like dump all this stuff on them and help them find the right area, and they don't really even know what area they want.
Right.
So I think the out of town people are some fun ones to work with. So
yeah, I think another fun aspect of that is like when it's new for somebody else, or everything is new for somebody else, like you get to experience like the newness of it again.
Yeah.
So like living in Colorado Springs, even though I've been here 20 years, it's not boring to me still.
Yeah.
Like because I do that regularly with other people, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about like, that little area I like so much, or that restaurant that I used to go to all the time, or whatever. So
that's cool. Yeah. So I got a couple more things I just want to get your perspective on again, since you've been here for a long time. So you actually got to do an interview with the mayor a couple months ago. Check out that video if you guys haven't. Definitely some good insight on future of the city. So after doing that interview and just knowing the city so well, do you think the city overall good path forward? Or you kind of have some concerns about the growth because it's growing fast?
Yeah, I think it is a good path forward. Maybe one of the concerns that I would have, and I think everyone who's lived here for at least a couple of years is kind of tuned into this, is like as we grow, resources, so like water specifically is one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on and really interested in seeing what's going to happen in the future. And then, the other concern that I would have is like, as we grow, are we growing in the right way? Like our infrastructure is constantly being worked on all the time. Right. And it's because, in the 70s and 80s, like they weren't building a city for 800,000 people.
Right.
So those would be like a couple of the concerns that I have, but I do think they are doing as good of a job as they probably can right now for, the amount of growth that we're experiencing. Yep. So I think in the future, path of growth is good.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that, like I said, I love the insight that you bring to the team, to our clients, because you've been here so long, being just hit 30. Yeah. So just a good, I think you relate to most all clients across the age gaps just with your personality. So I love having you on the team, man. Hopefully you stick around for a little bit longer.
Appreciate it. Plan on it.
Get back to work, man.
Fair.
All right. So you've had the opportunity to meet some of the realtors on the Berisford Group. The next person we're going to chat with is integral to the team, but is more behind the scenes, if you will. So, Kemper, you have been helping us with our video stuff for the last year nonstop.
Yes.
But
nonstop.
You and I actually did video stuff together.
I was thinking about this. Yeah. I think we first started doing stuff in 2017.
2017,
is what I think is kind of when we started. Man. We were doing Spotlight on the Springs on Facebook.
Spotlight on the Springs, man. 7 years ago. It was a highlighting of local businesses, local nonprofits, things like that. And this was when, nobody really knew. Video just wasn't as popular then. It was kind of, you didn't really know what the return on investment was going to be. So then we got away from it and then said, man, we got to get back into it. And then we did it on our own for a little bit. If you watch our early YouTube videos, sitting on a couch, you will know this. And then we said, man, we got to get some professional help in here to do this with us. So
some professional help.
Yeah, that's where you have been integral, I will say, in growing the channel, and not just growing the channel for us, but growing the channel into this thing, if you will, that I feel has really become something that helps people out that are thinking about Colorado Springs.
Yes. I think that's what's been really cool, is kind of building out it's kind of a buzzword, but say the story of Colorado Springs.
Yeah, for sure.
But like we did that mayor interview, right?
Yeah.
Which was like really cool to kind of get more into the teeth and the meat of Colorado Springs. It's not just a destination for like, everybody, the outdoor recreation, all of that stuff, but it's an actual city with people living in it who have lots of different needs and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, opportunities like that's been really cool to kind of get that one level deeper on some of this stuff with Colorado Springs to kind of clue people into this actual city, right?
Yeah.
People think Colorado Springs and they think like, I've traveled around the country quite a bit, and people are like, Colorado Springs, oh yeah, I went there on vacation, or the Garden of the Gods.
I went to Garden of the Gods,
stuff,
right? Yeah.
Which is awesome. Like obviously, like I grew up very close to Garden of the Gods. So the Garden of the Gods has always been, living in the shadow of it, right?
Right, yeah.
But there's so much more to Colorado Springs. It is an actual city. It has an actual story and all of these things. So that's been really cool working on that. And I look to kind of continue that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get even like levels deeper in that throughout 2025.
Right. Yeah,
big plans
for sure.
for the channel. And I think that just what I appreciate is of everybody on the team, and you've got the chance to hear some of the experience of everybody on the team and what they love about Colorado Springs. You are the person born and raised, man.
Born and raised. I was born in Memorial Hospital in 1988. So I haven't, so technically I live in Woodland Park now, which is pseudo Colorado Springs, right? But I've never lived anywhere else. This is just, I've always been here.
Yeah.
So I've kind of seen it grow. It really, honestly, it kind of has snuck up on me. It's kind of been interesting working on this channel, how like I kind of thought I knew Colorado Springs, and then now working on the channel, I'm like, oh wait, that Colorado Springs has really changed.
Right, it's a lot different.
It's really changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it happens with all of us, right? There's these. You just kind of you go to the few little areas, right? Like you're probably like Woodland Park, drive down the pass, go to your folks' place downtown.
That's right.
Kind of like we all have these little spots, but then through doing this channel and doing these neighborhood tour videos and everything else, like you get out and you're like, holy crackers, when did they build all this stuff out here?
No joke. Right. And like we did the Monument tour, and I felt like I was visiting Monument. Like I was like, wait, Monument's actually cool.
Like I'm a tourist up here.
Like I'm like, and like I didn't know like some of these little neighborhoods and stuff, I just didn't ever have a reason to go to them. So it's kind of interesting how like, yes, I know Colorado Springs because I've like I said, never lived anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I have learned a lot about like all the different nooks and crannies and the little areas, and then just how much it's changed.
Yeah.
Which like if you came to Colorado Springs in 2011 and then you came again here now, like it's so different.
It's night and day.
It's night and day.
It really is. When I think about moving here in 2005, full disclosure, I wasn't a huge fan of Colorado Springs. I was like, there's really not, I don't know. There's like the outdoor stuff that's all I did. But like the city itself, I really didn't really have that big of a draw to. Like downtown wasn't anything to think about really. Right. So it's been, I would say, but it was like that for like you mentioned 2011, like through that time period. And it really seems like the last 5 or 10 years, I think really 5 years, is when Colorado Springs is really kind of coming to its own. And there's been a ton of growth, but how do you feel about the growth? That's a question we get a lot, man, for people that have lived here their whole life.
Okay, so I've moved to Woodland Park.
Yeah.
Right? So
is this for a reason I've moved to Woodland Park?
For me personally, the call of westward expansion is strong with me. Like I like being in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like Colorado Springs is by the mountains, and it is very much by.
It's very close,
it's
right?
It's better than Denver. Like there's more topographical changes in Car Springs. You can
yeah.
live on a hill. Like, and I feel like in Denver, it's just, you know, unless you're like, you know, along C470,
Right.
you're not, right. You're
kind of on the plains, really.
kind of on the plains, right. Car Springs is more that way. But I really, like, we moved up to Woodland Park. Gosh, we've been up there 3 years now.
Yeah.
And like, I love like the in the mountains. So for me, how do I feel about it? Like, I go kind of, I'm constantly going between the two.
Okay.
And how do I feel about it? I think it's, you know, I was thinking about this when I was going to do my own segment on here. I was like, the allure of Colorado in general. So if we talk about Colorado writ large, I think that as Americans, there's been this like the call of the West.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like the West. You were talking about with Kyle. I was behind the cameras on all of them, so like I've been clued into all of these. But you were talking about with Kyle, like you had Glacier National Park and all of this stuff. And like eventually, if you go far enough west, you're going to get to California and the Pacific Northwest, which are their own thing.
Right, yeah.
But when I think of when Americans think of the West, Colorado still has that DNA.
Yeah, it's that Rocky Mountain West.
Rocky Mountain West. It has that DNA of the West, like kind of what the romanticized version.
Yeah.
And I think that Car Springs, if you're like looking to move somewhere in Colorado, that you have the amenities, you have all of that stuff, but you want that, you have that little bit of DNA.
Yeah.
That you know, like Old Colorado City. Josiah was talking about that.
Yep.
You have these big parks and open spaces to go to, and you can hike. You know, if you're driving 10 minutes to a good place to hike in Car Springs, you're probably driving too far.
Too far, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's lots of that, and but it's not just I feel like the culture, it still has that. You know, the old West. I don't know, but it kind of does.
Yeah.
That. You know, what the American dream a little bit.
Yeah.
I still think that Colorado has that vibe to it still. And that's the whole state. Like, I mean, Denver's kind of its own thing. I don't know.
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, I think so personally, you know. I mean, I kind of, the Front Range, like to your point about moving to Woodland Park, like the Front Range has kind of, it's just got more populated. I mean, it's just fact of the matter, right?
Yeah.
But man, there's a whole lot more to the state than just the Front Range, you know?
Right. And Colorado Springs, I think it gives you more access. I feel like it's a lot easier to get into the mountains in Colorado Springs.
Right?
Two places. It's not necessarily closer to skiing.
That's probably
per se,
the one thing.
The one
you know,
thing,
that
but
it's not,
but if you want to go, like if you want, you know, you're about 2 hours ish to Buena Vista.
Yeah.
And you know, like 20 minutes longer to get to Salida, and some of these Colorado towns that are even more have that West vibe,
what people are thinking of,
what they're thinking about, right? So it's really cool. So how I feel about the change in Car Springs is it's just going to happen, right? Because it has that people coming out here because of the call of the West. I really think it has a lot to do with that. It's an American DNA thing,
right? Yeah.
But it's just going to happen. Like, you know, when people come out, you're going to have this amalgamation of cultures. And Car Springs already had this military vibe.
Right,
like people moving here, getting stationed here. And so you have a lot of different people bringing their cultures from that too.
Yeah.
And then I think people love the idea of moving out here. And so they bring it. So they bring the change. So it doesn't matter how I feel about it.
It's happening anyway,
It's just happening, right?
It is, yeah. And I mean, there's pros and cons to it for sure. I've been here, you know, almost 20 years now, and so I feel largely the same way that you do about like, it's change. It's going to happen no matter what. So you just gotta roll with the punches. So been in Colorado a long time. Family's obviously all here.
Yes.
Up in Woodland Park now. Any plans to get up into the mountains even more? Any moves coming up, or are you pretty settled there?
Right now, I think we're good with Woodland Park. I have 2 kids, and one is in the school system, so we're just kind of at least right now, we're happy. I'm, the commute. It's a half hour into town, but it's a beautiful half hour.
It's a nice
Like,
drive.
It's a nice
Utah Pass,
drive,
right? Yeah.
Like I'm not really complaining about that drive.
Yeah.
That would be silly.
Yeah.
So
no, that's
can drive a half hour. The thing about Car Springs is that everything's a half hour away.
It is like one side of town to the other. Like in town,
yeah,
it's a half hour.
If you're in security and you're driving to like Monument Black Forest, it's probably longer than a half hour.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
100%.
It's actually been a joke forever because Car Springs is so spread out that everything's 30 minutes away.
Yep.
Like if you want to, wherever you need to go, it's 30 minutes away. It feels
30 minutes on the calendar, man, because that's how long it's going to take. No, that's true. And you have a lot of family here, so it makes sense to stay around, obviously.
Yep.
And then so on the professional side, real quick, just to give kind of everybody a little bit of insight into that. So you've been in the video photography business for a while now, and a lot of landscape photography.
Yeah,
up in the mountains a lot.
Yes.
Backpacking in with cameras.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my passion and I actually have another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's right now it's my name. We've kind of been experimenting with some different names.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
But yeah, it's landscape photography mainly in Colorado. So if that's your vibe,
that's your jam. Yeah,
I think you'll like it. So, but yeah, no, I definitely. I've been doing landscape photography now since about 2008.
Okay.
So I don't know how many years that is.
That's
but
a lot now. I don't know.
A lot of years.
16 years or something. Yeah.
But I kind of got into it, and I love exploring like little new. I'm always looking for like new little places in Colorado, like a new little lake or some random mountain or all this stuff. And for a while, I actually had a gallery in Old Colorado City.
Yeah, right on
people
Colorado
would come
Ave,
in and they would see my work and they'd be like, "That's not in Colorado. Where's that? That's Canada." And I'm like, "No, that's Colorado. I was there."
You just got to find those places, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a passion of mine, is kind of always looking for a new little place that's like really cool to photograph. And then, and then the iconic places too, like they're iconic for a reason. The Maroon Bells, like it's so busy, but a little pro tip, if you do want to photograph the Maroon Bells, if you get there in the morning, all you got to do is hike in 100 yards further than everybody else. It's not that far. And it's like everybody just congregates right at that first spot, but there's plenty of spots. Just 100 yards
right around the corner.
Right around the corner. But that's the thing about Colorado, is there's like so much iconic stuff.
Yeah.
Like as a landscape photographer, I really enjoy both, because the Maroon Bells, I mean, like I always had an attitude about them before I went. I was like, everybody photographs there. Yeah. And I actually show up there and I'm just like, oh dang! Like
this is pretty beautiful, man.
Like this is pretty awesome, and I'm gonna be back here every fall because like I gotta try to get those ideal conditions and all that stuff. Yeah. But and Colorado Springs, like it has two icons. You have the Garden of the Gods, Pikes Peak, which is like if you're looking up names of stuff in Colorado, they're right there,
right in town.
Like
basically,
basically in town. So that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've definitely done photography in Garden of the Gods. And then with Pikes Peak, I'm always experimenting with different locations and stuff. So different conditions and all that stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
No, I think it's awesome, man. Like I'm very grateful and happy that the timing worked out. Like because we've kind of talked about the video stuff probably since 2017, but just the timing never worked out, and then it just worked out for everybody involved. And I think it's been a huge blessing to the channel with your local knowledge of Colorado Springs, and then also helping us just kind of get the word of the Springs out in a more organized manner, if you will, to the masses.
Organized manner.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's come a long ways, and man, I can't wait for 2025 and see what it brings.
I can't either. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
I love it, man. Right on.
All right.
So hopefully that just kind of gave you a little bit more insight into who we are as the Berisford Group, and a couple little tidbits about Colorado Springs to just kind of make you want to learn more about the awesome city that we live in. Like we said, 2024 was an amazing year for us. We just love Colorado Springs. We love the city we get to live in, the adventures that we get to have here, and we're all stoked for 2025 to be even better than this year. If you guys have some interest in Colorado Springs, man, check out on the channel right here. You can see the playlist for all the neighborhood tours. Get to know Colorado Springs neighborhoods if you are thinking about a move this way. And then also we've got what we call our ultimate driving tour all of Colorado Springs. It's a lengthy one. It's about an hour and 45 minutes, I think, probably.
Yep, it is.
So it's a long one. But if you want to get to know our city, that's a great thing to do. So check that out. And as always, if you have any questions about the city, just reach out. Hopefully you can tell that we're all extremely passionate about Colorado Springs. And if you need anything at all, we want to be the ones to help you out. Till next time.